Hi there, welcome to the channel. I'm Shane, and we're going to continue our series that we're working on this David Brown 990, the hydraulics. If you're new here, the hydraulics on this go straight to the top when the tractor is cranked and will not lower. And so today we'll be talking about this, how to get this off. This is the control lever, or what they call a quadrant, and we'll be taking that off today and partially disassembling and cleaning it. Stay with me if you want to see that. Normally you would disconnect the parking brake lever from down here in the linkages. However, parking brake lever on this tractor is cut in half and the linkages are wired up out here. It's been that way for years apparently. So if you want to see a video where I disconnect the parking brake lever, look at the previous videos I've got on the channel. I'll put a link up in the corner up there to the video I did with taking all of this off in one video. Once you get the bolts out, just come right out. You see that slot right there? That slot fits up inside this hole right here on one of the on the lowering valve. Rate of lowering valve, I think. Those that venture here, beware. This nut right here is one of the critical components of adjustment of the Select-O-Matic hydraulic system. Do not disturb this nut's setting unless you are willing and able to do the group 3 adjustment for setting the connecting link. Once you get this nut off, there'll be a collar behind it, and you have the pin that goes through, and they'll have another collar behind it and a spring. You probably can't see that here in the view that you have, but once I start taking this apart, you'll be able to see it. There's 3 nuts holding this casting on, 1, 2, and another one outside to the right. And the one outside and to the right can be a bear to get out. 1/2 wrench, or 1/2 socket, I should say. Point of no return. I now have to do the adjustment. This is a nylock lock nut. There is spring pressure behind there, so be careful. As you see, it just popped right off. So we have this distance piece or collar and the nut. Let's see if I can get you around where you can see that bolt that's underneath. I believe that's it right there. You'll need to take that off from underneath. Use these ratcheting wrenches. They're pretty useful for this scenario. All right, you can see I've got a wrench hung on the bolt back here. It's a 1/2 bolt, I think. The bolt head's inside the casting there, 1/2 so I'm hoping it's 1/2. This right here is all the travel you have. You can't fit a socket in there. Yep, it's coming out. It's coming free. Okay, cool. Now that I've got that external bolt broken free, I'm going to loosen these bolts on the inside as well. 1/2 bolt heads. It's pretty tight. Here it comes. Okay. Everything's loosened now. Those 3 bolts. When this comes free, that distance piece that's behind this pin might shoot out. The spring might shoot out. Just be careful. There's a long spring back behind here. I'm going to continue to work on getting that bolt out before I take the others completely out. And there it is. When you get close to taking these bolts completely out, hold the top up here with your hand to keep it from falling. Put one of these magnetic catch trays up underneath it. Maybe it'll catch anything that falls out. Hopefully nothing will fall out. What's holding it on there, I wonder? That should have just come right off. It must be stuck. So I've screwed these 2 bolts back in, just a few threads, and we'll go grab a hammer. All right, maybe it just needs a little persuasion. Yeah, just a little persuasion. Oh, there came that distance piece right there. You see it laying right there? And there we go. There's the quadrant, the control arm assembly. It's quite dirty. I need to clean it up. Now that the quadrant is removed, the control arm assembly, you can see the big spring right here. Should come right off of there. And it does. These are the parts that attach the quadrant control lever to the axle. You've got the 2 internal bolts behind the cover. You've got this external bolt that's down to the right side if you're looking at it from the front. That one's a bear to get to. You've got the spring that the connecting rod passes through, this distance piece or collar, and you've got the assembly inside the control lever housing. You'll have another distance piece or collar there, and you'll have the nut that goes on the end of it. And so those are the parts that attach the control lever housing and quadrant assembly to the tractor. All right, let's get this thing disassembled. We're going to start up here at the top where these this bar keeps the handle in. Yeah, I don't have the right size screwdriver. Apparently on these newer models, this is a Phillips. Oop, that one came off. That one came undone. Good. Good deal. Good deal. On the earlier tractors, this was a slotted, not Phillips. Come on. That got it. Good deal. Okay, I will not be removing this spring out of here. I'm not dealing with that. I'll try to clean it up as best I can. The reason I'm taking this apart is just to clean it up a little bit. If you want to see how this spring comes out, go watch the video I've got linked up there. That's where I take apart the other 990 I did, and I took all of this completely apart. 3/4 wrench. I don't have 2 of those. This is where you make the adjustment for the friction washer. It's part of the Group 3 adjustments. There's 2 dowels inside of here. It may be captured on those. or rusted in place. Don't want to beat it to death. I don't want to mess up the friction washer that's behind there if I can help it. Got it. And there's why it was stuck. You see all the nastiness and grit and nastiness in there. Yikes. This is why I'm taking it apart, just to clean this up a little bit. Since this is an adjustment point, there's a friction disc. All right, we should be able to take this cover off now. Okay, that one is a longer bolt than these two. And now we have that part off. And the other friction washer right there. All in all, it looks pretty good, except it's just dirty. We'll get it cleaned up. It should just come out of there. Careful, don't break the casting. There it goes. Disassembly is complete. The casting, the control lever, shield, shroud, whatever, control lever itself, this guard that goes here, this that the control rod passes through is held in with a spring pin, roll pin. You've got the 3 bolts that go here, the bolts that go on this arc piece. You have this piece, 2 friction washers, one that goes on the outside like this, one that goes on the inside there, and the hardware that holds the friction washer on, this metal piece, washer, nut, and a jam nut. I'll get these cleaned up and reassembled. Let's talk a moment about the parking brake. As I've probably talked about before, the parking brake lever is cut off and the linkages are wired up. So we can see this is a later model, David Brown, 1970s model. It does have the grease nipple on the bottom to grease. There's a channel that has a spring and a pawl that operates upon the parking brake lever. If I push down in here, I can feel that that'll go all the way to the bottom. But if I put it on the side of the hole down in there, I can feel a spring. There is a spring down in there, but no pawl. For me to be able to repair the parking brake lever, I'm gonna need a piece that goes on the bottom of the lever. I'll need a new lever, and I'll have to have the pawl made or something. I doubt I can find one of those online. I was looking at prices just for the parking brake lever, for the for 990s was like $170. The piece on the bottom that connects the linkages going back to the brakes was like $40 or $50. And I'm not spending $250 on this right now to fix the parking brake lever. I don't know how long it's been this way, but if I can find a tractor, a breaker tractor somewhere, I might pull the parking brake assembly off of it. So I'm not going to be fixing it like this right now. It's just too expensive. And that's not the focus. The focus is getting the hydraulics working. Well, I got everything cleaned up pretty well. Well, pretty well is relative. Still some dirt on it. It's clean enough for me, at least. I am going to reuse the existing friction washers. This one's a little bit worse for wear, and especially where I was kind of jamming the screwdriver in there. I might need to replace those. I might do that. I'll have to look online and see how much they cost. All right, so where do I start? Assembly should be the reverse of disassembly, right? Okay, so we're about right there, and I'm going to take another punch from the rear and pass it up through there. Here we go. You can see that punch coming through. It means I'm lined up. See that? All right, now that I've got that started, maybe you can see from a multicam angle here. That fell out. That's okay. We don't have to have that piece in there right this second. All right, if you see here, keep my hands out of the way. I've got a punch in the back, and I've got the spring pin started from the front. I'll hold pressure. I'll just hold this loosely while I drive that roll pin on in. I'll just hold this loosely to make sure it stays in the hole while I drive that roll pin in. Basically, it'll back this punch out as I'm doing it. This is a technique that worked for me last time I did this on the other tractor. So I'm just kind of holding it there. Okay, that's through. Good deal. Good and flush. Looks good on the back too. I'll reinsert the connecting link rod there. That's what the connecting link goes through. Okay. That's done. I did take these dowels out and clean them up. I'll reinsert those now. This thing just keeps falling out. I'm gonna have to have it in for this part. Once I get this curved piece on the front, it will not go this far enough to where you can get this in or out. All right, that thing's back in there. Good deal. All right, I think a friction washer goes on between here and here. I'll use the better looking one of the two. Again, I might take this back apart and put new friction washers in. I don't know yet. Just depends on how much they cost. Long bolt goes on top. Just making sure this friction washer is centered over that hole there. Just going to snug this up. And the other friction washer. Be sure we're over the dowels. I think we are. Gently tap this down. Yes, I can see the two dowels through those holes there. Good. And we have this little plate, washer, nut, and jam nut. This is one of the settings for the adjustments for the tractor. We'll cover that when we reassemble everything. And finally, this little arced bracket here. There we go. Just going to tighten these down a little bit. Like I say, I may order new friction washers and this may come back apart, but just showing you the reassembly of it. See how the arm, the control lever is really loose? That's controlled by tightening this. So I release the jam nut and screw this 3/4 nut down. All right, that's really tight. There we go. That's about right. Purpose of this is to keep this control lever in the place you put it, right? Without it snapping back or going forward or whatever, not being loose. This kind of a personal preference thing, how tight you want it. It feels good. But again, I'll have to redo everything here once we get it on the tractor during the final stages of the Group 3 adjustments. And then this goes down and locks it in place. Oopsie. Pretty good. But that's how you do that adjustment. All right, it looks pretty good to me. It's cleaned up. It's not exactly perfectly clean, but it's good enough for me. And it's a lot less dirty than it was. So yeah, that does it. This is the control lever assembly for David Brown 990. May apply for other tractors in the David Brown Select-O-Matic range as well, 770s, 880s, that kind of thing. Not sure. But yeah, I think we're done with this. We're not going to do the reassembly onto the tractor because we'll cover that in the video where we put everything back on the tractor. I've still got to take off the rest of the hydraulics over there on it and get the valve chest out, take a look at it, that kind of thing. But yeah, that's it. Thank you for watching. Y'all have a great day.